Alrighty, we're into our second week of getting organized and decluttered here at ADHD Big Brother. This has been a very interesting couple of weeks, and I said let's just keep the ball rolling down the mountain with our special guest today, Megs Crawford. Get out your doom piles. Let's get to it. You are listening to ADHD Big Brother, the podcast for adults struggling with their ADHD and their depression and anxiety and blech. I'm your host, Russ Jones. I'm an ADHD coach, and I run the Platinum Award-winning community coaching of the same name, ADHD Big Brother. And I also have ADHD and depression. It's craptastic. Welcome aboard. Let's learn some stuff, laugh at some stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, here's some stuff. Welcome to the podcast, you sons of guns. How the heck are you? I hope you guys are having a great April so far. This has been a really interesting couple of weeks. I think I believe that I am on the precipice of a burnout. Okay. This is what happens when you go really hardcore. And, that's the price you pay. I'm not going to lie. The solopreneur life, it's not all glamour like you might expect. There is a lot of, oh my sweet merciful heaven, this workload is endless. I've been extra forgetful. And I brought this up to my mentor, Dana Rayburn. Shout out to Dana. She's a badass ADHD coach. And she's the one that put the mirror up because I was finding myself forgetting things, even though I had alarms. I know how to remember shit. I am well-versed in the art form. But that's the ADHD way. You can get complacent and maybe it's time to have a second alarm for a while at least. So this is basically my mental health update. I mean, if you're new here, I think it's cool to normalize talking about our skull spaghetti, brain butts, the good, the bad, and the weird, so we can all support each other. Because most of us are not quote unquote fine or, I'm good. Thanks for asking. But that's how it feels sometimes. Like, is everybody fine? Am I the only one that doesn't like myself? What the fuck is going on? So let's just be cool talking about it. Be cool with ourselves about it. In reflection, I've been really lacking motivation. It's interesting because if I didn't talk about it, no one would know really, because I have the time of my life when I'm in a workshop or when I'm on a Zoom call or, when I'm in the community or when I'm with my girlfriend, I'm happy. When I'm with my kids, I'm happy. But when everything goes quiet and I have to be my own company, oh, what a dick. And that's what I'm working on. Maybe next we'll talk about decluttering the garbage on our brain. Man, that would be a good episode. But to summarize my mental health, I'm actively looking at ways to combat burnout that does not include isolating. I feel like there's a really heavy rubber band attached to me in my bed. It's a bit of an effort, to not slide back into bed. It would be so easy for me just to get right back into bed. I'm almost pulled towards it. And to stay out of bed feels like I'm pulling against tension. And I justify being in bed. Like, oh, I'm listening to a guided meditation, so this is good. I'm taking care of my spiritual energy. Like, really, it's kind of seems like it's my third nap. Kind of seems like I'm napping. And for me, that's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm looking at ways to force feed myself, like hanging out in the body double room more. Case in point, I'm literally recording this. Lisa, you are in the body double room with me right now. She knows I'm recording this. She's working away on what she's working on. And I'm like, this is the motivation. This is what I need for me to record this intro part of the podcast. You do what you got to do. So God bless this community. And then the other thing is if I'm going to meditate, I'm trying to really push myself to sit on the cushion. So it's not a lay down meditation, quote unquote, nap. All right. Enough about my skull spaghetti. Long story short, I'm working on it. I'm recognizing some things that need focus or attention, and I am focus or attentioning them. So enough about the skull spaghetti. All right. I had a phenomenal conversation with Megs Crawford recently. If you are new to our great friend, Megs Crawford, she is the host of Organizing an ADHD Brain podcast. She's a professional organizer and a coach. She's dedicated her career to empowering women to understand their unique brains and create a more organized and peaceful life. And she is so good at it. She's helped us out so much. in our community. She is our bat signal when we need organizational help. And we put that signal out for our themed month on organization and decluttering this month. And she has answered the call. We're talking about emotional hurdles of decluttering our nervous system and recognizing emotional triggers when it comes to organizing. So let's just jump into the conversation. It's already in progress. And we just started recording as we were wrapping up talking about RV plans as Megs is moving across the country. So here, let's listen in. Here's the conversation with me and Megs. Already in progress.
Okay, so I was working with a career coach and I wrote this letter to myself. It was a future letter. And I do this with my clients too, because it's so powerful. Mm-hmm. But it was a letter to myself a year into the future. And I was talking about how I was sitting on the beach working and I saw my husband and my kids and my dogs playing on the beach. And I was just like, I was trying to craft this life for myself because I didn't know if I wanted to be in the corporate world or start my own business. Or I actually hadn't even thought about starting my own business. And I was sitting there and I was like, what would my boss think about this? Like, who is my boss? And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's no one out there who would give me the flexibility that I truly want and desire in this world. And so that's when I decided to, become an entrepreneur. So like now that's I'm like, rad. Okay, so if we sell everything and like we could spend a week where I'm still working, but we're also on the beach and like we're enjoying our life and we don't have to be anywhere. So
dude,
so cool. It's
all
so
the way.
Cool.
Okay, so wait a minute. So my goal is literally Alistair graduates, I'm in an RV and I live and work, right? I exist in nature and I'm vacationing and I'm working at the same time.
Yeah.
Your situation is a little bit different here. You've got, are you talking about just RVing your way to Massachusetts for the move? Or are you talking about we live in an RV?
So we don't know if we're going to do an RV so much as like selling our cars and maybe getting a van that we could live out of for a month where we go to Disney World and then stop in different places. But we had thought about doing the RV thing. And then all the YouTube videos that give you the realities of RVing made me really sad about it. And I'm just like, no,
don't listen to them. Oh my God. I've had the greatest experiences in an RV. Yes. With my kids. And if you ever connect, Debbie in the community is literally, I don't think she's in one right now, but that's what their plan is. And she has been living in one. And it can be awesome. Yes, you have to clean out the poop thing or whatever.
Sure.
There's stuff that's going to happen. But oh my God, you get to be wherever you decide you want to be.
Yeah. It's so exciting. So we're really excited for this new adventure. And just like, I never thought... I saw people doing these things, right? I saw people living in RVs or selling all their stuff. I just never thought that would be me. I never thought that I could ever get to that point. And so when we reached the point of letting go of our stuff, and then we realized how much money it was going to cost to transfer, I was like, how much do we really like our stuff? And like, what if we get there and our couch doesn't fit? Does that even... It doesn't make sense. So like, why I really like this couch. I really like our dishes. I really like our silverware, but like, it's all replaceable. Totally. It's all replaceable. So anyways, like, it's fascinating to be in this space.
I hope you do it. I think it's really exciting. On my end of things, it's like, I had this thought of, when the kids are graduated and they're out, I'm like, do I want to be somebody that lives in a place and then has to save up to go visit a place? And I'm like, that just sounds, I know home ownership and, it's an investment and asset and all that stuff, but I'm like, I don't care. I have a trouble staying in one place for too long. The only thing keeping me here right now is that I live inside the school district that Alistair goes to school in. And I've even moved within the school district already once, but I promised him, I was like, no more. Okay, buddy, no more. We're here until we're done. But that's been sort of my hurdle, or my letter to myself would be, I need to be able to be free to just roam, but I also
Yeah.
have to make money. How does that work?
Yes. Have
Yeah.
you heard the research done about how like ADHD is actually an evolved state of mind and
Oh,
our state of mind, yes, I know, right? Like,
we're better.
oh,
I've
well,
always
okay.
known it in my heart.
Set me up for this one. But it's like we're in this evolved state of being because our brains were designed to be nomadic. So like when we're stuck in a place for too long, we don't thrive anymore because we need a change of scenery. We need that new dopamine hit. We need this new adventure and the chance to be uncomfortable so that we can get comfortable doing something
Yeah.
else until we're ready to not do that anymore.
Yeah. Oh my God. I resonate with that a lot. And not to get this into a downer place, but like I had read something a while ago where people with ADHD, maybe also depression, generally life is just this is it, blah. It's like this is so dumb. And
Yeah.
so the chase of like I need something new. I want something more exciting in my life totally tracks. Totally tracks.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's super uncomfortable too. Like it feels yucky to make so many big changes and
mhm.
it's also empowering and it feels really cool when you start to realize how much you are truly in control of and what you
Yeah.
can work towards. It's so cool.
Oh my God, this is a perfect tie-in for us to talk about organizing right now, by the
Okay.
way.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
I wanted, there was something specific, and we touched about it, you and me just offline a couple days ago, I think. But I'm, because the whole month is all about organization here.
Hmm.
So the thing that I've been finding very interesting with like every day there's some sort of a clutter challenge that we're doing. So I'm noticing that if I'm doing it on my own, I'm coming to see a lot of things that I don't like about myself or I have difficult emotions with. Right.
Hmm.
So for me, it was the spice rack. And I think I mentioned this on the last week's podcast. So I'll just paraphrase it, but like it makes you face some of the flaws that you have determined about yourself. Like, oh, I'm a guy that always goes and buys garlic powder, and now I have a whole a whole cupboard full of garlic powder. What does that say about my mental health? Am I going to have dementia and blah, blah, all these horrible things? But when I'm body doubling with it, it becomes more comical and more fun and easy. Um,
Mm.
so I really wanted to bring that up and talk about that with you and get your take on that.
Well, it's so I love I love working with people with ADHD. Like the more people I meet, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, like we're just such
We're cool.
fascinating humans." But then we sit there in our shame and and we wallow in that instead of
Yeah.
our incredibleness. It was funny, I even posted about that online the other day and someone was like, "Oh, doesn't that help you recognize yourself a little bit more?" And I was like, "How dare you?" How dare you turn that around on me? But I say that because when you start to see other people going through some of the similar experiences that you're having,
Yeah.
it makes you feel normal. It just makes you understand that, okay, I'm not the only one whose brain works like this. And so I might be feeling shame over this, and maybe not everyone else has all the garlic powder in the world, but they also might buy 15 measurers just to be able to find a tape measure. I think I told you that story last
That's
week.
the you story, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
part of that is like I didn't trust myself. I didn't know that that's the what I was feeling. It's not like I was walking around like I don't trust myself, better go buy some tape measures. It was my husband and I always seemed to need a tape measure. We never put it back where it needed to go. It never had a home. We would just hope for the best and go to look at the tool bench when we would need one. There would
Yeah.
never be one there. And so I ended up buying like a 12 pack or something off Amazon, wrapped them all up individually and put them in his stocking. And I was like, this is it. We'll never lose a tape
Merry
measure
Christmas.
now. And like for the longest time, we would go to the spot, we'd always find one, but we still never put it back. And
That's so
and
interesting.
like it was just fascinating because I'm like, how many tape measures does one truly need? So now I've got all this stuff, multiples of so many items, but I'm not challenging myself. I don't even know how to create a home for a space or for a thing. So I'm never going to put it back. So now I'm just like wallowing in all of this chaos. And like it was as if my house was mirroring what was going on in my brain.
Oh,
So
wow.
when you start to see what other people are going through and start to understand that you're not alone in this, it just makes you feel like you don't have to carry so much shame. Like it gives
Mhm.
you a different perspective. And while it's still hard to let go, it's still going to bring up emotions. You're able to go about it in a way where you're doing it with someone, and those emotions you could feel together instead of having to do it on your own, instead of having to say,
Yeah.
like, this really stinks. This really sucks.
I
So,
feel like it's not as heavy. But like I
yeah.
can really sink if I'm alone with only my own thoughts. That's my partner. That's the voice coming back at me, and that gets a lot harder than like a fellow ADHDer, right? That's like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I have a shithole over here, you have a shithole over there, or whatever, and it's you can you're still having that feeling, but it doesn't sink yet as much. Is how I feel. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I had a question I wanted to ask you about in
Yeah.
terms of oh I it's the there seems to be two components to this for me, and I'd love to get your opinion on this. Is I have there's the feeling problem, right? I don't want to do this work. I don't want to declutter. I don't want to organize because I'm worried I'm going to feel crappy about myself. And then there's it's just so overwhelming that there's tension to it, or that I don't know where to start or how to start or what to start on. It feels too far gone, maybe. And I'll be like,
Hmm.
oh, that's for another day. That's when I have 8 hours to do this thing.
Yeah.
What do you find in the people that you work with and the situations that you deal with?
Like how to get started, or like just recognizing that you need to get started, and like where to begin, like what do you do with all these feelings, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or like,
Yeah,
yeah, is does this track with people how I feel about these things? Because I only can
totally.
speak to myself. I'm like, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
What do you see when the people that you work with?
It's fascinating because everyone handles it a little bit differently, which is
Okay,
why with ADHD we can't just I can't just start a podcast and say this is how you organize your fridge and this is how you organize your craft closet. Like
right.
while I think I thought that that's what I wanted to do, now that I know so much more, that's just not how it works. And so there's a lot of feelings that come up when you're organizing. But I want to talk about our nervous system because, like, I
Oh,
sent you
please
that
do.
tool the other day. And when I started doing regulation work and understanding my nervous system and how it relates to my ADHD, it changed the game for me when it
Oh,
comes to
break it down.
not only organizing, but parenting, and then
Oh,
also just like handling life. And I'm going to give you the parenting example first because
yes,
this is
please.
how I first discovered it in my own life and how I then translated it to the organizing world to help my clients and to help
Okay.
myself. So, my kids have a natural react. My kids are likely either autistic, ADHD, and I'm definitely ADHD. And so we wear our emotions on our sleeve. We have very big emotions, and oftentimes we don't think before we react. We just react.
Mhm.
And so when my daughters would be throwing temper tantrums, I would feel so overwhelmed and I felt like I needed to react. And that's truly what I learned growing up, right? Like I learned how to react in situations because that's what my parents did. And I learned how to shove my feelings down because I wasn't supposed to be able to express them. And that's ultimately what they learned too, right? Like this is a lot of learned behavior passed on through so many different generations. Well, I just wanted so much more. I wanted to not be an angry mom. I wanted to learn how to teach my kids to cope with their emotions, but I didn't even know how to do it for myself. And I found Mindful as a Mother. I highly recommend them. They're two therapists, best friends. They got together to teach regulation skills. I had no idea what I was getting into, but one of the first things they teach is recognizing what triggers you. And so one of the
Hmm.
first things I did was just like starting to recognize, like, oh, my daughter dragged herself out of the car and was like crawling across the garage floor to get into the house. I didn't like that, right? So like I would write that down, but it was interesting because when I came back to it, I was like, oh, I forgot that even happened. Like it was almost like it was an out of body experience. Well, then I started to notice where I was feeling it in my body. So like when I get triggered, where do I notice it? So what's interesting is like I notice it in my gut. My gut feels like really heavy and yucky, and I even feel it in the back of my neck. It gets a little tensiony. So which is hilarious because my daughter explains to me when she gets angry, she gets growing pains in the back of her knees. And then my
What?
other daughter tells me her neck tickles. So like she reaches for her
Oh,
neck, it tickles. So like it's fascinating because now
yeah.
I'm understanding like, oh my gosh, they're feeling it in their body. So from there, I use some sort of regulation technique that supports me in understanding what I want to do next. Instead of reacting, because I'm feeling it in my body first, I'm now able to recognize that I'm feeling this way and I want to react. But instead of just doing it, I get to consciously make a decision on what I'm going to do next.
Okay.
This is the
Great.
coolest stuff in the world. So, when it comes to regulation and approaching your world when it comes to organizing, we are in a constant state of fight or flight. And so that's why I was saying that like everyone approaches it a little bit differently. And I sent you this tool the other day that I created for my clients because, hold on, let me pull it up. It describes the different ways that everybody approaches their organization. Hold on, I sent it to myself so that I wouldn't lose it and it would be easy. I need to find a different way to.
I should put hold music on right here.
Yeah, just my whole music.
Everyone,
Yes, that would be
we're
great.
going to have this in a second. Please hold.
Okay, so one of them is fight mode. And this is the way that I use to handle the clutter in my home is I feel frustrated and I'm annoyed at the state of my home. So for example, I start rage cleaning quickly, angrily throwing things out, scrubbing surfaces. Oftentimes I would find myself scrubbing baseboards. For what reason? For no reason other than like
Wow.
I was so like into whatever the hell I was doing. But I would do it for like hours, right? And
Oh,
like my family would help. This would be like a body doubling experience, extreme. But I would aggressively sort piles, often exhausting myself without making intentional decisions, right? And this is like maybe someone's coming over too, and I'm just like throwing things in places. I had no idea where things were going. So that was my general
scramble.
mode. Yeah. There's also flight mode, which is a lot of us too. I feel rushed and I want to jump to another task. So, like, I feel like I need to run out of the room or start something entirely different. What's interesting though is it's not like we're thinking about it. We're not actually intentionally saying, I'm going to go bring this towel and put it into the laundry room. And now that I'm in the laundry room, I think it's time to start a load of laundry. I'm going to avoid going back to the kitchen because of this. It's not like that. We're just following the breadcrumbs. So, like, we're in flight mode, like, we're just jumping from one task to another because we don't have a plan in place. And that's just what we're doing. There's also freeze mode. So I feel overwhelmed and stuck, not sure where to begin. I'm staring at the clutter and I can't decide what to do. My mind just goes blank. And then there's fawn mode. So I'm seeking validation or waiting for direction. And this is often times where we jump into doing all the research that we need to do to find out the perfect solution to what we're trying to achieve. And then we're doing all the research that we don't actually do the action. So we don't make any progress except for the knowledge, right? So now we have all the knowledge. And that's what I find like most of my clients are telling me, like, I know so many things. I've followed so many declutters. I've read all the books, but I still can't seem to freaking do it. And so there's one thing in knowing what to do. The other thing is actually doing it and figuring out what works for you. But a part of it is truly recognizing what kind of nervous system reaction you're having to the state of your home and when you're having it. And then once you start to recognize where you're at and what you're feeling, you can start to come up with the right regulation technique for yourself so that you can start to approach things in a different way. And truthfully, it's not going to be easy at first.
Yeah.
Like, it's part of this is challenging yourself to be uncomfortable. Like, how do you allow yourself to be uncomfortable? Because naturally, we have a response where we run away from uncomfortability. And we're like, I don't want to declutter. I would so much rather go paint a mural on my child's wall. Like, I would so much rather do that than clean out the damn pantry and find expired items. But when we're not doing these regular maintenance things or the things that we need in order to clear out the space to live our life like regular human beings, we clutter it up. It's obviously we're cluttering it up, but like it's not only cluttering our physical space up, but it's cluttering our physical or our mind too, where we can't make decisions as effectively because and I'm so excited about the presentation in the group today because I'm going to talk about this.
Oh, right.
And yeah, it's so good when you start to recognize this. But
Yeah.
because I learned from Mindful as a mother, like how to parent in this way, I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally my whole life. Like everything that I'm doing applies. And it's fascinating.
Oh my
It's
God, that's so
amazing stuff.
freaking cool. By the way, so you have already given the workshop. So by the time this comes out, the workshop so sorry, you guys. Hopefully you got it on the newsletter and you came to the workshop. I'm super stoked for it as well. So do you like this to me is just, this is the reason why I would hire you, right? I would hire you because I honestly like the handhold or like it's more than teaching, right? Because I remember you did this with us when we did a decluttering session, right? And we're all having conversations. We're talking. You're helping. I remember, like you would just say, "What is that over there?" Because I didn't know where to start, and we were doing a bookshelf, or it was my office shelf, I think, and you had me go pick something up and talk about it. And then you asked me some questions and I went and did something. The thing that's missing there is you. I'm missing a Megs being there with me, talking about it and helping me. I'm advocating for having another person there to make that uncomfortability less. Like that's absolutely why I would hire you, is be like, this is a painful process. I'm feeling it in the back of my neck and my ears and my butt and my shoulders. My system's going crazy.
Yeah.
And if there's a potentiality for me to only feel half of that because you're there, doesn't that make it easier or better?
Yeah. 1,000,000%. And part of it is just like, so on one hand, yes, like I'm holding your hand and I'm walking you through the process, but I'm also teaching you the skills for you to be able to do this on your own. Because, well, I'd love for you to pay me forever. Also, you can't. Like, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
The goal is for you to learn some of these tools and some of these things to keep on the forefront of your mind. So it makes it easier. And you start to build the tools that you need to live the life that you want to live. And part of it, just as you said, is just getting to the task, is like actually convincing yourself to finally do it. And part of it, like a lot of the times we avoid it because we're just waiting for that one day where you have enough energy or you finally get the dopamine kick, like today's the day. And then you spend 8 hours cleaning out your closet. It's way too much. And then you don't want to put anything away. So you hastily put it away. And then it's back to kind of the way it was in the beginning.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? I see that with people too. Like there's also no chip away mentality. A lot of times it's like, I need to wait until I have a 5-hour chunk of time so that I can do quote unquote deep work.
Yeah.
I get it. But I'm like, where are you getting that 5 hours?
Yeah.
And how are you going to start? How are you going to, like, how can you guarantee you're going to be like, and it's a 5 hours when I have all the juice for this task and I can see it working out. So it's going to work out. Like those things, just those stars never seem to align or they're not reliable.
Right. And oftentimes we're in such a dysregulated state when we try to do things for hours at a time that we burn ourselves out because we're like, so go, go, go. We can hyperfixate on something. And then we never want to go back to it because it burnt us out so much. So we remember how exhausting it is to do it. So organizing becomes exhausting, that we like have equated the two together.
Yeah.
So part of it is, like you said, is chipping away at it. Like, how do I break this up into small chunks and allow myself to be proud of these mini progress points? Like even just saying, even just bringing notice, because a lot of the times our clutter just disappears when we don't put our conscious brain on it, right? Because we're so focused on everything else that has to get done. We're dysregulated in other ways that we don't even realize it exists. until we're overwhelmed by it. And now we're like, we go to one of those nervous system responses, right?
Yeah.
So it's about saying like it's okay if I take 5 minutes and just throw out trash. Or it's okay that I take some deep breaths and I put one thing away. And I ask myself, where would I go to look for this if I were trying to find it? And like trying to build trust in what you're doing. Because there's so many aspects to organizing. Like I honestly thought it was so much easier when I first went into it. I was like, organizing, it's easy. And that's a general perception too, is people are like, this should be easy. I have ADHD. I'm good at almost everything I try. Why is this not easy? And it's because it's not easy, because there's so many different ways we have to learn how to work with ourselves instead of just making it look perfect. And that's why,
God, yeah.
like I love perfectionism. We all, most of us do, but it's not about like buying the perfect bins and setting up a perfect pantry. While it looks really pretty, does it work for you? And does it make sense for you in your life? And truthfully, like I have a really nice pantry and I have bins and I have things, but it's also, I have 2 kids and I have 2 dogs and I have a husband. Like it gets messy still. Like it's still annoying. I have to go in and straighten things and I have to put things back. And like it is not, it doesn't always look like an Instagram picture, because that's real life. Real life is messy. Real life is kids getting dirty and playing all over the place. And it's dogs with messy footprints coming into your house. And it's life is messy. And so organizing can be messy too, even if you have bins and all of that other stuff. It's just about giving yourself permission to do a little bit at a time. But it's our executive function, right? Like we know what we want. We know what that end result looks like.
Yeah.
But the idea of those little incremental things adding up to that is so mind-boggling to us that we don't even approach it, because we're not great at executive function. So we're just like, well, we can either do it all right now or we do nothing at all. And most of us are choosing nothing at all because it's exhausting. Yeah.
And there's a component to this too. And maybe it's that ego part of it where I'm like, I'm a grown man that should know the answer to this. And like anything that, so I'm expecting myself to be able to just have an answer immediately. You have a question, I have the answer. So anytime there's something that makes me have to think, like, oh, I don't know the answer to that. Oh, I have to step back and like, where would I look for this thing? Or what do I do with this letter? Or anytime I have to stop and think, there's a tension point to it for me of like, I'll deal with it later. And so like, if I foresee any kind of thinking involved that is going to make me feel stupid, I run from it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to share it. I find this very fascinating, because really take one thing, spend 30 seconds. Really, how long is it going to take to think about it, the answer to a question? Maybe 10 seconds. 30, it just feels too long. And then put it where it goes. That's one more thing that's cleaned up. And if I can do that a little bit over time, shit is going to get organized. Right. It has to.
Yes, it does. But those decisions can feel so debilitating. And we're so good at procrastination, not because we want to procrastinate it, but part of this, I read this in a study the other day. They say that procrastination, like when you're saying, I'll deal with this later, it's almost like you're making a decision on it so you can check it off your list. You're like, I have now helped this. I've done it. I'm going to put it over here now.
Wow. That's fascinating.
You're actually just moving one thing to another place, and now you have to make a future decision on it. So part of it is saying like, how can I make this uncomfortable decision, put myself in an uncomfortable position to make a full decision on this item? Because I did an episode recently on like object permanence, and like I want to use something so that I can. Yeah. Okay. So here is I have a bedazzled mouse.
That's a pretty fancy bedazzled mouse.
It's really pretty awesome. And this means more to me right now because I'm holding it. And I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to use this. It would be really, and I have it because what if I use it one day? right? So I have it just in case. Ask me the last time I used this.
Your mouse?
Yeah.
Today when you logged in on your computer.
No, I don't use a mouse because
Wait, what?
no, I don't use a mouse. I think I got it. I got it with the intentions of using it. And then because I thought I needed it, but I'd never
What?
used it.
Okay, so
So
side
it
note,
doesn't
what do
even
you
have
use
batteries
to
in it.
navigate your computer right now that we're talking
Oh,
on?
just
Trackpad?
the little trackpad. Yeah. Yep.
That
Yep.
is
So
hilarious.
like old me would have looked at this and been like, oh my gosh, like what a cool thing. I'm now holding it. It's precious to me. I would love to put batteries in it and see if I'll use it. I'll put it right back where it was. And maybe one day it'll pop into my brain. But the thing
Yeah.
is that it meant something to me in the moment because I was just holding it. And sparkle is my favorite color. So like anything that bedazzles, like, yes, please sign me up.
Noted.
So it means something to me in the moment. But then guess what? If I put it right back into this drawer, it's
Oh,
out of sight,
gone.
out of mind. And
Yeah.
now, and I'm still going to go back to the things that I do because I'm not in an uncomfortable position. I'm not uncomfortable what I'm doing. What I'm doing works right now. So I don't need a mouse. In fact, I had another mouse that I just gave to a friend of mine. So like ultimately, we have people coming to see our house today. I'm going to keep this here, but I'm going to go through this drawer and I'm going to say, these aren't things that bring value to my life anymore. And if I needed a mouse, I could go out and buy another one, right? Like if I was in this uncomfortable position to the point that I felt like a mouse
Oh.
was in my future, it would be so easy because I'm pretty sure that I got that at like Five Below, that super cheap store,
Oh,
and it was only
yeah.
like $5. So like it's not like I'm
It
breaking
probably
the
doesn't
bank.
even work, Max. It probably
I mean, likely that. And it's not real diamonds. Like, we're good. We're
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
it's just about making a full decision. But I could delay that decision. I could just say, like, not making a decision now, like, I'll keep that just in case. Right. But now we've got all these just in cases all over the place, crowding up our life we're living right now. And that doesn't fill up my life right now. So those are some of the decisions that I've learned to make in my own life. But I've found that everyone's a little bit different with like the way that they live their life. So it's about understanding, where do I want to see myself? Like, how
Yeah.
do I want to live my life? And for me, I want to have so much less. So that's why I come back to that. But for other people, maybe they do want to be prepared a little bit more, right? And then that's a part of them. Then how do we work in the letting go process with someone who does want a little bit more preparation? Because you don't have to change your life. You don't have to change like who you are internally and what your goals are,
Oh.
but there is some change involved there.
This brings up a question, which is, how do you deal with people that will not let go of anything? And maybe we don't take it to the level of hoarding where it's like, well, they need therapy and they need all that, but to the level of like, it's very difficult for people that know they want to let go but can't let go. How do you navigate that with people?
It's never happened with me working with someone because, but also when someone comes to work with me, they genuinely just want to learn
Oh,
how
they've
to
decided.
let go. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
But I
Yeah.
would say, some people just don't know that it's a possibility. Like I've worked in some people's homes where they're like, can you organize this? And I'm like, yeah. This is when I first started. I was like, let's organize and make it pretty. Like,
Yeah.
um, but I would go in and they wouldn't be with me. So I would just be putting things in places. And
Oh,
then it was when I started doing that and seeing that, like, I don't even know how they live their life. How could I possibly put something in a place that you're going to know
yeah.
how to find it? And then I was organizing chaos, right? Like, so I just started asking more questions. So, like, when people would put a pause on something, or they would be like, I'm not ready, or like this or that, I would just ask why. So I just go in really curious because I want to understand. I'm truly seeking to understand more. And so, if you're telling me you're not ready to let go, I want to understand why. And so, for some people, we say, like, for someone who just lost their spouse, if you're not ready to even talk about that, then we're not going to talk about that stuff. Right. And so
Right.
now we're just
Okay.
going to find a space to put that stuff, like for, when you're ready, you'll be ready and you'll know that you're ready. So I'm never going to push that. But we are still going to like collect everything in one area. But for like pens and paper clips and like all that other stuff, we are going to figure it out and figure out like what's going to elevate your life. But part of it is just understanding, where do you want to be? Like, what does your future self want you to be? And how do you start to pretend to be that person now so you can really get to that point?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Um, I there's few things that I won't let go of just yet. But it's the battling of I should get rid of this stuff. But then if I'm like, I don't want to right now, I think I have enough on my plate that I can go, okay, that's something to come back to next year, a year later. I don't know, whenever. But um, there's other, I mean, I have bins. I decluttered the underneath. There's this challenge going on right now where it's every day is something, right? So yeah, yesterday it was my underneath my bathroom sink. Megs, I basically cleared all of it out. I had shit in there, like medicines that expired in 2010.
Yeah.
So I've been basically taking them from place to place, expired.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
ridiculous, but it was so refreshing. I never would have gone and done that had I not had some external challenge or something going on. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm such an advocate of that, anyways.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I
Can you talk
totally.
about because you know I'm a freak for community, right? You know I'm a freak
Yes.
for accountability. You have a community, so can you talk about it? What you
Yeah.
guys do in there, what you're building, all that stuff.
Totally, totally. So I'm really
Cool.
excited because I am moving my community from where I'm housed right now, which is just like my email or my platform that I house my
Yeah.
website on, but I'm moving over to Circle. But what we do is
Yes.
we do two body doublings every single month. And one of them is just like a come in, get your shit done type of body doubling.
Cool.
Like I went through a stack of papers that I had sitting there that I didn't want to do anything with. And so
Yeah.
that is what I did in our last body doubling session. I think one of them I even fixed my sliding glass door because I was just
Oh,
like,
right
oh,
on.
now's the time. I'm going to get this done. And I did it. It took me 2 minutes. We also do a group coaching session. So I teach a little bit, talk a little bit about something that's going on, something that I might be talking about on the podcast. And then we just ask questions, talk about what we're experiencing and walk through some different scenarios. And then we also have a body doubling decluttering session, which is really cool. And so we
Nice.
just work
Those are
through letting
awesome.
go together. Yeah, I've done a couple of those in your community. And from there, I have a,
Just talking to you while being able to talk to you while we're decluttering is a gift. Like,
yeah.
so
Oh, thank
having
you.
that in your community is freaking amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. It's so cool because it's just so cool being in front of people. I think one of the coolest things that happened in the community when we first began
Mhm.
was I had one client that I've been working with for months, like since last September, and another client who had literally just started with me like a week prior.
Mhm.
And my one client who had been working with me for so long, after we had talked, she was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so fascinating to see how far I've come just seeing people where they're at, like just seeing that
Yeah.
I have made progress. I actually have
Yes.
been doing shit. Like I've been
Yeah.
getting things done. But part of that is because our working memory isn't great. We forget what it used to be like. And now we're still stuck in this climbing the mountain process and we're on the
Mhm.
mountain. We don't realize how far we've come because we can't see the beautiful view yet, you know?
Oh
And
man, yeah. We don't reflect as often as we should, right? We're more often the voice in our head is like, let me just spend all day pointing out what's wrong right now. So like
yeah,
reflecting on how far we've come is it's almost like a skill that needs to be practiced.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that like also just having those different perspectives. Like you have this incredible human in your group who signed up for the class today. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, she's so cool. But they had said something about being a millionaire and like their perspective on just understanding where they were in the process. And
Mhm.
it was fascinating to hear their perspective on just like like, wow, I've made it so far. And we have to look at things from a different point of view because
Yeah.
sometimes we're so stuck in the stories that we've been telling ourselves that hearing someone else's story, especially someone with ADHD that's looking at it from a different perspective, helps us understand how far we've come and that we're on the right track and that we absolutely can do it. Like it's just so cool. Like, and that's part of my platform is like people with ADHD can be organized, but it's about like being around other people with ADHD who also want to be organized, right? And developing some of the things where you're actually taking action towards it and not just doing the research because like all the information is out there. You can collect all the information.
Oh man, you're
Now
preaching
it's
to the choir
about
on that
doing
one.
something about it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time. Isn't that so interesting? Like everybody has all the information. You can Google everything and have all of it, but it's not going to declutter your house for you.
Totally.
There, at some point, there has to be action involved, and yeah. So I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. But like,
so support that thought.
yeah, like community is just it's so amazing. And like the fact that body doublings help us get stuff done, it's incredible. And like, I mean, I have learned so much from your community, from my own community, from just understanding that other people's brains work like mine.
So what is happening in the organizing and ADHD Brain community? How can where do people go? What do people do? Give me all the deets. And then we'll put it in the show notes, obviously.
Cool.
Obviously, it'll be in the show notes. Oh, and then you know what? You are going to do wait, I got to interrupt real quick. You're doing a body doubling session. People will be able to join this one because this is going to come out. It'll be the week that this comes out. Right?
Yes.
It's next.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on,
let's check our
it on my calendar. We can like actually tell people what it is. Let's see here. Okay, so next Thursday, the 17th, or this Thursday, the 17th, because that's when this podcast is being released. It's from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. And that's 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yep. And then that is
10 a.m. to 11 a.m. California time. Pacific, yeah.
When is it in California? I don't do the math.
You guys have your own rules over there.
We do things the way we want to do them in California.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. And I'll have more information about the community. So right now I'm going to halt membership signups because I'm transitioning to Circle. I would say the best way to stay in touch is go to my website, organizinganadhdbrain.com, and click on the dopamine menu. So I have a free downloadable dopamine menu that you can fill out. And it's super cool because it helps you get motivated to do things. And you have a menu to choose from of all the fun things that you love to do. From there, you'll just be on my email list and I'll send out all the information, all the things that are happening. So
that's brilliant. Everyone should go and join your community when it's fired up. I love Circle. Circle's the greatest platform ever.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
You're going to love it.
It's cool.
You're going to love adminning on that platform.
Good, because I hate adminning on the current one I'm on. It's so annoying. So I'm really pumped. I'm pumped to learn something new. And it's going to be a good place.
Megs, thanks for coming back again.
Yeah.
We love you so much. Oh my God, thank you for helping us.
Can I just plug your community too? Like join mine, but also join Russ's. And like, I truly feel like, or join both, join none, but join one. But seriously, because I've had so much fun. I have met friends in your group just by hosting things and like meeting people and gaining new experiences and answering questions. It has been so cool to see what you've done. And it's just like the words that you use, you show up authentically. Like people are there because of you, because you have truly embraced who you are. I know we're all always working on ourselves, but it's so cool to see all the things that you're doing constantly to support other people, because it not only supports you, but it supports everyone else getting stuff done. It's fascinating. Like I love seeing the momentum, and what you're doing is fantastic because it's not just about organizing. It's about so much more than that. So
yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love these declutter sessions.
Yes.
This month, I'm totally geeking out over the decluttering. So I'm so stoked for this coming Thursday as this comes out.
Cool. Yes.
Thank you, Megs. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks,
and
Ross.
we will talk to you soon.
Brilliant.
Megs Crawford, everybody. Heck of a guest. Love having her on the show. She's great. She's moving her community to Circle, which is the same platform that I host my community on, and it is just an amazing community building service. So this is a reminder to check out the show notes, get access to Meg's dopamine menu, sign up for her community when she makes it active, and to come to our decluttering event. And also I'll put a link to the workshop that she did in our community. Sharing some organizational concepts. So the replay will live in that public space for a little while or forever, depending on if I remember to do anything with it. But you can always reach out to Megs for access to it as well. And that's it. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. As always, reach out if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I shall talk to you later.